Ooh. Wow. 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 Great. Man, I do not live stream nearly as often as I should. And I was like, man, I should do this. Oh, look there. Let's mute that. Great. I'll try to read your comments as I go. I typically don't read very fast. It's just a thing. It didn't help me out during Bible drills when I was a kid, and it doesn't help me out now. But I'll do my best to read and just keep everything short and sweet. And great, cool. Well, it's been interesting. If you don't like me, then leave. I wasn't sure what I was about to say. So here's the thing. I was debating whether or not I should just start right away and say what's going on or not. But a lot of you guys have messaged me this week or today and have been like, "Hey, Kevin, I like supporting you on Patreon, and I appreciate that, but I don't like supporting Patreon." And so I didn't know what that meant. And so I decided to investigate, and some people told me that I should check out Sargon of Akkad. And I know who that is. I don't watch every single thing that he makes, but I used to watch him a lot more. Probably 2 years ago, I used to watch him a lot. He kind of annoys me now, but that's neither here nor there. I don't have like I don't have any sort of hatred for him. And I don't have any particular liking for him. The point, I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk though about just some things about my channel and some things about Patreon and just thoughts about what it kind of all means. So I'll say what happened. So basically what happened is this YouTuber, if you don't know who he is, Sargon of Akkad, he talks a lot about a lot of political topics and whether it's social politics. A lot of times he talks about British politics because he's from England, and he will often talk about from kind of a right-wing perspective. I know that he claims to be on the left, and I know that he's a social, like kind of a social liberal, but can often be very conservative in his thoughts. But he can be very abrupt too, and I guess I don't have a lot of room to talk. Anyway, it's interesting because whenever I basically he's said a lot of different things, and a lot of his support comes from Patreon, and a lot of people like what he has to say, and so people pledge to him to get him to keep saying what he says. And I think that to me, the reason why that even has anything to do with me is because that's where a lot of my support comes in as well. I have a pretty large Patreon in reference to, like, whenever you compare it to how many people subscribe to my channel. And I've been really blessed by that. A lot of what I do, a lot of what I here, I'm gonna sorry, I'm gonna pop out the chat because I'm seeing myself and I don't want to see that guy. A lot of what I do is, I think, in the same way that a lot of people are like, they pledge to my Patreon because they appreciate that I'm saying something that not a lot of people are saying, or at least from the perspective that I'm saying it. And I'm so grateful for that because it gives me the opportunity to put a lot more time and effort into the reviews that I make and the videos that I make. And people really like it. And so obviously his Patreon is way bigger than mine. His channel is way bigger than mine. And man, I just can't imagine for a second waking up one day and my Patreon being deleted. But that's what happened to him. He just hopped onto Patreon and it was gone. And he makes what John Paul just said, that he makes $12,000 a month on Patreon. Which then subtract all the taxes and whatnot is less than that, but that's his income. And that immediately was taken away without, as far as I know, without a specific, maybe they've told him now, but without a specific letter from Patreon to as to why they did it. They've told other people why they did it, but they didn't tell him, and that is stupid, I think. From my perspective, I think that that's really dumb, and it's scary. Here at the top, I'll just say that I have started a subscribe star. So if you feel, at least even ideologically, um, if you feel like you don't want to give to Patreon, and I totally understand that, then you can pledge to me there. If you like what I'm doing and you don't like what they're doing, you can pledge to me there. So that I get that out of the way here at the top. But I also was thinking about this because I've had a lot of thoughts about Sargon in the past, and I've even written up videos and then never released them. And I don't I just I go back and forth because I'm like, I guess I don't want to get out. I don't want to get out there and like get too political. And but what's interesting about Sargon is that I think that I agree with a lot of things that he has to say, or some of the things that he has to say. Though I think that some of the ways that we get to believing similar things are from different perspectives. I think that he very much believes in what's called like a social contract. And I think that that has a tendency to kind of look very collectivist. And I know that he probably wouldn't say that he's a collectivist, but I'm not. I don't like to associate myself with anyone, so I'm not here defending him. I have gotten political many times. It's true, because it's something that's important to me. I do like politics, but what's interesting to me is that I think the reason so much of my channel is about me talking about the things that I believe. And I say even on my Patreon that my goal is to encourage people to think for themselves. And for me, that's so important. And I think that that stems for me from being an individualist. And I really thinking for yourself, being who you are, is important. And I would never defend somebody. Like in terms of ideology, I'm not interested in just I want I don't want anybody to necessarily defend me. Uh and I don't want to defend anybody else. I would never want to tie myself to a particular ideology or tie myself to the thoughts and perspectives of somebody else. And so, like, I think Sargon's a good example of that, where you have somebody who I don't like. I don't. The things I don't like about him are plenty, and yet, if he were to say something that I agree with, it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't feel this urge to defend somebody because they've said something that I agree with. And I think that's an urge that a lot of people have, that like, if, and this is the problem maybe that I have with attaching myself to an ideology or a group or a bunch of people, and I think this is why whenever people ask why I still claim to be a Christian and yet criticize Christianity a lot, it's because I don't ascribe to the religion or like the ideology, the group of Christianity. So whenever people are like, "Oh, Christians, they're being persecuted," and they say like we're being persecuted, that always bothers me, because we're not. Like, you as an individual aren't necessarily being persecuted. You're being somebody else's, and they may have some of the same ideas that you have, and you may agree with some of their ideas, but there isn't a single person out there who I agree with fully. And so ideas to me are very important. And so I'm not I whenever something like this happens, whenever I look at something like somebody gets in trouble for something that they said to me, I think because I tend to say I don't associate with a group, like people aren't part of my group, then I don't feel the urge to defend them. And I think that it's important because so many times we see bad people do or people in a group do something bad, and then that group will rise to defend them without evidence. And that's just not important to me. I want what I do and the things that I do and say, like, I want to be accountable for the things that I do and say, and not anybody else. So that being said, if Sargon happens to say something that I agree with, then I can say, oh yeah, there's an idea that I agree with. But if anybody, that's how it is for anybody. Like if anybody says something that I agree with, then I can look at that idea and say, okay, good idea. And if that same person says something that I don't agree with, then I can say, well, that is a bad idea. I think this way a lot. When I read the book Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, where I talk about like me personally, I like that book, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that while reading it, I was like, well, nope, I'm not on board with that. I am on board with this. And oh, that's a good point. Well, that's a dumb point. And if you concern yourself with ideas, then you'll be able to make those sorts of discerning uh, those sorts of discerning decisions whenever you're looking at people's teachings. I mean, this is what I want people to do with me. If I say something and you're like, "Oh man, that's a really dumb idea that Kevin has," then I want you guys to not just say, "Well, I'm going to unsubscribe now because Kevin, that's it. This person doesn't line up perfectly with all my ideas." I want people in my I want people watching who do disagree with me on many ideas. And I think I've seen a lot of people, I know that I've seen a lot of people tell me, hey, Kevin, I don't believe in everything that you say, but I do like what you say sometimes. That's important. Like there's nobody you're going to agree with fully. And so I think I think with that being said, it's important. It's just so important to do that so that you don't end up just following somebody. It's and so you don't end up embarrassing yourself. Um, it is important to wait until you know exactly what happened or whatever. But like like waiting for evidence or waiting to know, don't judge somebody that you don't know or based on something that you heard, but also like pay attention to what people have to say. With Sargon, I think back whenever I did watch him more, what I realized is, for one, it's like he wants to play two different worlds. He wants to be in one world where he's like, I'm getting political and I'm saying something important and I want to be respected. And then on the other hand, he'll go and do things that are very childish. And there was something the other day where he was like he'll say things on live streams and stuff that are just not very well thought out. And boy, it surprises me that then people who are in politics are like, oh yeah, this, I don't know. It makes it embarrassing if somebody was thinking, hey, this guy's got some good things to say. And then also his tactics are weird. He has that whole thing where he messaged somebody in Parliament and said, he always talks about it as if he came up with some like amazing mathematical equation where he said something rude to to her. And I don't think it should be illegal to do so, but I'm very careful on my channel and in the things that I say. Obviously, I push the edge a little bit, but I also know that there's certain things that I'm not going to say, I'm not going to do. And some of that is because of you guys. I don't want to like offend you guys to the point, to where you're watching and you're like, well, that's not what this channel initially was. So I want to maintain what my channel is. And if I say something that is, if I try, that's why I say, well, I don't want to go off into politics too much, because getting into politics is just not what my channel is. Even though I think a lot about politics and I do insert my economic soapbox from time to time, I try to recognize, hey guys, I realize that I just kind of went into territory that that you guys didn't come here for. But on the other hand, like I also, whenever the movies bring it up, then I want to talk about that. So I'm not gonna back down on what I believe, but I feel like it's important to maintain maintain integrity and maintain what my channel is. So a few of you, I noticed in the comments, are asking what happened. Basically, Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, he made and yeah, several other people, Lauren Southern months ago, and Milo Yiannopoulos got kicked off of Patreon. And there is, I mean, I watched their videos, or I watched Sargon's video about it, and it's interesting because I do think that it's too bad that and it's not that crazy that maybe based on stuff that I say, eventually it would get to the point where, this is a bit of a slippery slope argument, but it could get to the point where they're like, well, Kevin, you're too mean and you're gone. And, whenever I see collectivism anywhere, it bothers me. Whenever, I mean, I feel like there is, whenever it comes to like the Silicon Valley culture, there is a bit of a religion there. It's just kind of this hierarchy of these ideas of privilege and of of PC culture and stuff like that I don't like, like kicking people out of colleges because they told a joke and stuff like that. Like anti-free speech and, well, we got to make everybody feel like they're involved. I don't care about any of that stuff. And to me, I think that can become just as ideological and just as religious in the way that Christians can be. I mean, what was it? I mean, I know that whenever I heard this week, it was somebody talking about how Baby It's Cold Outside, it's a bad song and we got to take it off the air. To me, that sounds just like what the Christians do with the red cups, where it's like, well, we got red cups. But also I think that stuff's perpetuated because people are looking for it. They're like, hey guys, did you hear about these crazy people who are wanting this song to be banned? And then it's like more people complain about the people who are complaining than the people who are actually upset about it. That being said, I don't ascribe to that kind of religion. All right, so here it says this whole thing of you're too mean, so you have to be gone is very kindergarten and childish, says Hero Andrew. I agree. Like if I had my druthers, anyone can do. I mean, as you guys know, I tend to be somewhat libertarian and free market thinking, and just like, what, if you don't like something, don't associate with that person. And we, don't force people to think a certain way or be a certain way. I don't like that. I don't like people trying to control other people's lives. And a lot of times it's through guilt. I mean, you can tell whenever somebody's trying to shame and guilt people into believing or thinking a certain way. Like the church does this all the time, and I hate that, where people try to like say, well, you've committed this sin, and so you should feel ashamed and you should listen and do the things that I say to do. No, thanks. Maybe that's my rebellious streak. I've got a bit of that, but I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to do what you tell me to do. And in the same way, I feel that way about political correctness. Like, well, hey, sorry, I can't do what you're telling me to do because you're trying to make me feel guilty about something that I did or said. Yeah, it's just stupid. I understand though, whenever it's not marketable, whenever it's not politically expedient, whenever there are companies that are like, well, we don't want this thing. I think there's a ton of hypocrisy, just like, we've heard for years, there's too many hypocrites in the church. Well, there's too many hypocrites in Silicon Valley as well. And that's frustrating to me. And so I know that it's frustrating to all of you. I'm not leaving Patreon because Patreon's never done anything to me personally. I am, but I am off. If you guys don't want to, give to Patreon and you don't want to support them, that's why I've made the links in the description of this video. But that's why I've made the what is it, subscribe star, so you guys can pledge to me there. If you want to pledge to me, you don't have to pledge to me at all. I'm extremely honored that you guys, anybody pledges to me. Obviously, I couldn't do the show without that, and it's been quite a ride. It's been so much fun. So do that, and also check out these new T-shirts, the It's Christmas shirts. All right, so let's check it out. Let's see what you guys have to say, because I wanted to read over some of those. I hope that that answers the question. I personally don't have any problem. I think that it's silly that they banned Sargon. As everybody says, well, they're a private company and they have the right to do what they want. I agree with that. I think that they have the right to do what with their platform what they want. And when I heard that Sargon had been banned, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Just the reason he got banned from Twitter, the reason he's been banned off of other platforms, he does say and do things that I personally would never do. Uh, but a lot of people do and say things that I personally would never do. And that doesn't make me better. It's just those are my choices, and my reasonings for doing that are very much financial and also just kind of principled. And so I don't know. I go back and forth because I'm like, yeah, it's too bad. It's kind of like the baby, it's cold outside thing, because part of me is like, yeah, it's stupid that people are complaining about that song. On the other hand, I'm not like, why would I come out and defend a song that is like, hey, premarital sex, it's great. That's what the song is about, and that's not a lifestyle that I want to live. Because I'm married and I love my life and my marriage, and so I it's the same way with this, where I'm like, I think that it's too bad, and I think it's silly that he's been banned. But on the other hand, I'm like, but I wouldn't do the things that he does. So isn't that the lyric to the song? Oh, baby, premarital sex is great. You know. Oh man. So let me read some of your comments before I get banned off of YouTube. I have no loyalty to Patreon. I'll say that much. But I think that the people who pledge to Patreon, I do have a certain level of loyalty, because they give me money, and well, the customer's always right. All right, collectivism. Stanley Hudson is tired of it all. I agree. I'm tired of everything being political. Maybe that's why I used to do a political podcast, and I kind of stopped doing that. And part of it was just that I'm like, man, everybody is political, and I feel like there should be a place where some people are just having some fun. Maybe I can be that place where we can all have fun laughing at bad movies. Yeah, you hate how people aren't allowed to say something that hurts people's feelings. I truly believe that it shouldn't be illegal to be a jerk. Like, people who are jerks, I don't like them. I try not to be one of those, but I don't want I don't want it to be against the law. I want it, but I do want people to be able to, like, disassociate themselves with people who are jerks. But that's such a, like, oh, that person's a jerk, but it's so subjective. Like, who's a jerk? I'm a jerk. I'm a jerk to people whose movies I review. Like, some people would say that I'm very offensive. I, in fact, had somebody tell me that I'm too harsh. And from my perspective, I'm like, have you read what, like, the Rotten Tomatoes reviewers say about some of these movies or other movies? Like, I feel like I'm pretty nice, but I also understand that if I'm hurting people's feelings, but get over it, you know? All right. Let's see. Let's read some more. Boy, I should do these more. If you guys want me to do more, I will do more live streams. I really enjoy it. Uh, yeah, no. So someone said, I don't agree with everything Sargon says, but I think if Patreon is going to have some sort of standard, they should apply it to everyone. And I think that would be a smart business practice. In fact, that I was thinking while I was making my Subscribe Star, I was like, I don't care. Like, if you guys all, people who pledged to me decided to just pledged to me over there and just kind of abandoned Patreon, I mean, that's perfect. Don't abandon Patreon without going over there and pledging. But if we want to just move over to there, it's there. And I was like, in fact, I like it a little more because they allow you to upload videos. And then I can upload just exclusive videos. And every time there's a survey that comes out about Patreon, I say add the ability to upload videos to Patreon, because to me, I was like, back whenever YouTube was kind of being too like touchy about the things that people were allowed to say, whenever that first started, and that is still going on, I was like, well, at least I have Patreon. And I told Patreon, look, I mean, I don't talk to them, but I fill out their surveys. And I told them, look, this would be great. You guys could like overtake YouTube. But I think they're more interested in kind of sucking up to YouTube and being in the club than they are actually like being true competition. And so I think that's too bad. All right. E-Hero Andrew says progressives have become the fundamentalists that they've hated all these years. I do feel that way a lot. Like whenever I see people being such Puritans, you know, I'm like, well, when did this happen? Why is it that now why is it that people are so offended when for so long it was the fundamental Christians who were offended by this same exact stuff? I do think it's funny that the fundamental Christians aren't like joining in. They're like, yeah, you know what? They're right. I mean, maybe it was Trump who did it. I'm not sure, but I mean, what you say and do, I don't care. But you know, I always say, like, I live a pretty conservative lifestyle and I highly recommend it, but I don't want to force it on anyone. You know, live your life. I just find it easier to have one wife, you know? I mean, all these liberals, they have so many wives, you know, right? Isn't that how it works? That's what homeschool kids think is happening out there. Live stream, Bible Man episode be involved. Yeah, that would be fun. Can people please stop giving Sargon attention? Probably. And conservatives, it's okay to be a liberal, but it's not okay to like the Trump prophecy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I like that there's people of so many different ideologies and beliefs that watch my videos. They're not all Mormons? I thought Mormon was just another name for progressive. But here's the thing. I would hate it if here's one of the major reasons why I'm cautious with my tactics. It's because I don't want to tick people off. Not because I'm like, oh, please like me. I want people to like me, but I would hate to scare away the people who do to me what I do to Christian movies. Because my show, I hope, gets better as I read the comments and read what people have to say. And when people call me out on stuff, or when I'm putting together one of my videos and I'm like, oh, well, this video is maybe when I want in the back of my head, I want to be thinking, oh, I better do some research to make sure that this is correct. Because if I don't, somebody's going to call me out on it and tell me in the comments, and then I'm going to cry forever and I'll ruin all of my credibility. I'm glad. And if I didn't have people who disagree with me all the time in the comments saying things like that, then my show I wouldn't work as hard on it. And I see people, YouTubers who just are so mean and like in a way that I'm like, how would anybody who disagrees with you stick around to listen to what you're saying? And you know, I think that I think that's too bad. Like, I wouldn't want that. That's not what I want in an audience. I imagine with some of these YouTubers, the only people who watch are people who agree with them. And then where's the conversation in that? So, you know, that's what I want. King Noah, good name, asked if I'll endorse PewDiePie. No, because PewDiePie is racist. Yeah, everybody subscribe to PewDiePie. Man, I find him so funny. I watch him a good bit, and that's why I started having the reaction videos like this. I was like, hey, if he can do it. In fact, he did a video where he watched what is the movie? The Room, where he like did a review, and when he did that, I was like, wait, that's how I should do. I could do way more videos if I did that, and that's when I decided to get a camera that I could plug right into my computer and film videos. So that's why I do my like kind of my reaction videos, because anytime before that I would do videos like a trailer review, I would do it like I did my reviews, and this way is way better, and I can live stream with high quality content. And so I appreciate that he inspired me to do that, but I also, I don't know, I find him really funny. And I think that if people understood his humor, then they wouldn't I don't know, people who hate him. I think you ask PewDiePie or T-Series, PewDiePie, of course. I just think it's cool that for so long an actual YouTuber has been the biggest YouTuber. Like just a guy in his room recording stuff, and it's unbelievable how down to earth he stays with being so big. I think that nobody else deserves his gauntlet more than him or me. I don't know what I would do if I had that much attention on me. That'd be hard. Stanley Hudson. That's yeah. I I mean I think that he's dropped some jokes that again I probably wouldn't say. But you can understand his wait. Are you really though, Stanley? Or are you playing the character of The Office, Stanley? I just realized. Anyway, oh, the question, I wonder why Kevin crossed over with Cinema Snob. Yeah, I mean, I've crossed over with a lot of people. I crossed over with Bobby Burns, for example. And well, we all know what he puts out on his channel. I don't really I like working with different people. The reason why I worked with Cinema Snob is because we both review a lot of the same movies, and so it was cool to kind of I got in touch with them. We talked about that movie, and so we were like, let's make a video together about this movie, that because it's kind of funny that this guy who's kind of I don't know where he stands spiritually, but I think he's agnostic or atheist, that he liked this Christian movie, and me as a Christian didn't like the Christian movie, and we thought it'd be an interesting dynamic to kind of talk, like where he's reluctantly defending the movie to me who's criticizing it, and I thought it turned out great. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, he does have stuff that again I wouldn't put on my channel, but everybody does. That if I was going to why would I control somebody else's channel? Why would I refuse to work with somebody based on what they have on their channel? I don't know. I don't see working with somebody as necessarily an endorsement of everything they've ever done. That would be a difficult life to live. So speaking of, I actually had talked to Cinema Snob recently because I'm going to start a Say Goodnight Kevin podcast. And the first episode should be coming out in January. And I will be having Alex Kendrick as the first guest on that show, the director of Fireproof and the upcoming whatever that movie, Overcomer. And it's a fun interview. I ask a lot of questions. I don't hold back. Don't worry about that, everybody. And yes, I mean, someone asked if I would collaborate with Hitler. Yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't endorse what he does, but All right, I better say I'm just kidding. He's dead. So why would I do that before I get in trouble? Wow. All right. So the question is, never mind, you answered Alex Kendrick, huh? Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be cool. I know there's no way to believe me in me saying that. But it's I think you guys will be anybody who was upset about my video that kind of said, I'm sorry for what I said in my War Room review. I think that you'll enjoy the podcast because what's fun is I get to kind of dive deeper into a lot of that stuff, and it's pretty fun. The reason why I brought that up is because I wanted to promote myself, but also I wanted to say that I talked to Cinema Snob, and I want him to be a guest on the podcast, and he said he would love to. So hopefully that'll happen as well. It'll be I don't know how often it'll come out, but as much as I can, I'll do it. So also get the shirts. Believe in me. These shirts will change your life. So that's about all I had to say. And you guys if you have any questions, leave them right now. Do it. Oh yeah, I'd love to get David A.R. White. I did interview him, but it wasn't for me. It was for Christian Cinema, and it would be awesome to actually talk to him, to sit down and talk to him. I'm hoping, having gotten Alex on the show, that I can kind of leverage that. Maybe, excuse me. I could kind of say, hey, let's work together, everybody. It would be cool. I wanted to be a show that a lot of people come on and they get to kind of open up and share their true feelings, and also a way to, like, we joke a lot. Alex and I, he watched my reviews, and so we joke about stuff that he's like, well, when you said this, I kind of felt bad, and I'm like, well, get over it, and it's cool. We have a lot of fun. So, yeah. That's it. All right. Thank you so much, everybody who tuned in today, and thank you to everybody who cares about this kind of stuff. I just wanted to talk about that because I think that it's really interesting how I think the main takeaway to sum up is just to say that I as an individualist, that's what motivates so much of my channel is everybody thinking for themselves, and I think that that's easier to live your life and to then, like, not feel there's just this feeling inside of yourself when you've attached yourself to a person and then they do something bad, because you can't control anybody but yourself. And so don't attach yourself to people. Don't attach yourself to, like, you can hear and listen to and explore ideas, and pick the best ones that you like, and then don't like the stuff that you don't like. And so and don't attach yourself to people or ideologies or groups of people, because eventually they will do something that you don't like, that you can't control, and then you have to pick between whether you're going to defend them for something they did that you didn't like, or walk away. And I just don't want to be a part of any of it. So anyway, I'm me, and judge me on that, on my character, not by the color of my skin, please. My sister did one of those DNA test things, the 23andMe, and I'm super duper white is what it said. It just came back and said, this guy too white. So it's too bad. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. I'll do more live streams in the future. Ooh. Bye, everybody.